You know, every now and then, Washington drops a piece of legislation that barely makes a blip on the nightly news. But for those of us who actually shoot, train, and buy ammo by the case, it's a game changer. And this month, just before the 4th of July fireworks even hit the sky, they signed off on one of the biggest defense spending packages we've seen in over a decade. Now, most folks are busy arguing about the political noise wrapped around it, but buried deep in those pages is something that'll hit our local gun shops, online retailers, and range ammo bins harder than anything else in that bill. I'm talking about serious money, billions, flowing straight into America's ammunition production system. Here's the kicker. If you've been watching ammo prices the last few years, you know the drill. In 2020, a 1,000-round case of 5.56 NATO that used to run you $400 suddenly shot past $1,000, if you could even find it. Shelves went bare, small shops were begging for stock, and online orders were backlogged for months. Well, this new bill, it's designed to make sure that doesn't happen again. We're talking massive upgrades to plants like the Lake City Army Ammunition Plant, the same place cranking out millions of rounds that end up in civilian hands every single year. They're not just topping off military stockpiles, they're reinforcing the whole supply chain, so regular shooters like you and me can keep our mags full without taking out a second mortgage. And if you think this is just government business with no civilian impact, you're dead wrong. History says otherwise. Half of the small arms ammo from facilities like Lake City flows right into our market, meaning your next range trip, your hunting season, your training course, all of it just got a lot more secure. Let's break down the real firepower behind this bill. First up, there's $100 million locked in to ramp up production of 5.56 NATO and 7.622 NATO, two of the most widely used calibers on the planet. On paper, that sounds like a military-only play, but if you know how Lake City Army Ammunition Plant operates, you know better. This isn't some top-secret bunker cranking out rounds only for Uncle Sam. Lake City is a production giant, turning out hundreds of millions of rounds a year. And historically, almost half of that ends up in civilian hands. Hunters, competitive shooters, weekend range warriors, all of us have felt the ripple from what they make. And this isn't new. Back after the Vietnam War, when the military downsized, many ammo plants faced a grim choice: either take civilian contracts or let the lines go cold. Civilian sales became the lifeline that kept skilled workers on the job and machines running hot. So when a national call came, production could surge instantly. That balance between military readiness and civilian access has kept our ammo ecosystem alive for decades. Now add to that a massive $1 billion investment in what they're calling next-generation ammunition production facilities. This isn't just a facelift, it's a complete modernization. Imagine robotics moving brass cases down the line, climate-controlled powder rooms, automated primer seating systems, and faster caliber changeovers so a line running 5.56 in the morning can switch to 7.62 NATO by lunch without missing a beat. Cleaner, safer, faster. That's the kind of upgrade that boosts military output while flooding the civilian market with more consistent supply. Then there's the $2 billion raw materials play. We're talking primers, brass, powders, the holy trinity of cartridge making. The 2020 shortage taught us that you can have all the presses in the world, but without primers, you're dead in the water. Back then, reloaders were paying triple or quadruple normal prices. Brass shipments were late, powder orders were stuck in limbo, and some plants sat idle waiting for parts. This funding is like building a national ammo pantry, making sure the shelves stay stocked so that the next panic, whether from politics, global chaos, or another wave of new gun owners, doesn't bring production to a halt. And yeah, $10 million for workforce expansion might seem like pocket change compared to those billions, but don't underestimate it. You can't just flip a switch on an automated line and expect it to run itself. You need skilled operators, maintenance crews, engineers, and quality control techs who can keep tolerances tight and fix problems on the fly. Without them, all those new machines and piles of materials are just expensive paperweights. This bill makes sure the people, the tools, and the resources are all in place, so the production never stops and the supply lines stay wide open. All of that investment isn't just some abstract defense readiness line item. It's going to hit the civilian market in a way we can actually feel. If you've been buying ammo in the last few years, you know how ugly it can get when the supply chain snaps. One month, you're picking up a case of 9mm for $200. The next, you're staring at bare shelves and paying 40 cents a round if you're lucky enough to find it. With this bill pumping billions into machines, raw materials, and skilled labor, that feast or famine cycle starts to break. Your local mom-and-pop shop won't be begging distributors for a single case of 5.56 NATO. Your go-to online store won't be plastered with out of stock across every caliber. And instructors teaching concealed carry or rifle courses won't be scrambling to find enough rounds for students. And here's the big one. Steady supply kills panic buying. When shooters know they can grab the same ammo next week for the same price, they stop hoarding, which means shelves stay stocked, prices stay sane, and the whole community benefits. That opens the door for more training, more range days, and more confident, competent shooters. Whether you're a brand new gun owner still learning the basics or a seasoned competitor pushing for tighter groups. Availability equals trigger time. Trigger time builds skill. And skill is what keeps our community safe, sharp, and ready. This whole setup isn't some brand new brainstorm from a conference room. It's rooted in decades of how America has kept its ammo plants alive when the shooting stopped overseas. After the Vietnam War, when the military downsized, a lot of our ammunition facilities were running on fumes. Civilian contracts weren't a nice bonus. They were the only reason those lines stayed warm, the only way skilled workers kept their jobs, and the only thing standing between a ready military and a cold start if conflict broke out again. That pattern held through the Gulf War, the War on Terror, and every slowdown in between. Civilian demand kept the gears turning so the military could ramp up instantly when needed. Fast forward to 2020, and we saw another hard lesson. The pandemic didn't just disrupt daily life. It exposed just how fragile our ammo supply chain really was. Primers stuck overseas, brass shipments stalled, powders delayed, and factories here at home idling while demand went through the roof. That wasn't just inconvenient, it was a warning shot. This bill is the answer. Rebuild the infrastructure, secure the materials, and bring critical manufacturing back on U.S. soil so that next time we're not waiting on a container ship to get back to training. And the timing? Getting this signed just before Independence Day was no accident. For a lot of Americans, ammo isn't just metal and powder. It's the physical representation of preparedness, responsibility, and freedom. The freedom to train, to protect, and to stay sharp without asking permission. When half of the small arms ammo coming out of government-affiliated plants ends up in civilian hands, every dollar invested here ripples through our ranges, our hunting camps, our training classes, and our homes. This isn't just about keeping the shelves stocked. It's about keeping the culture alive, the skills honed, and the next generation ready to step up when it's their turn. So yeah, on paper this might look like just another line in a massive defense budget, but for those of us who actually shoot, train, and buy ammo, it's a straight-up win. More machines, more materials, more skilled hands on deck. That all translates to more boxes on shelves and fewer price spikes that make you think twice about hitting the range. Whether you're a weekend plinker, a serious competitor, a hunter gearing up for the season, or someone who just wants to keep a few loaded mags for home defense, this bill is going to make a difference you can feel. And it's not just about saving a few bucks. It's about stability, preparedness, and making sure America's ammo supply stays in American hands. That's good for the military, good for the civilian market, and good for every responsible gun owner who believes in staying sharp. Make sure you like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. Stay sharp.